Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Apologies for the erratic upload schedule. The internet at my apartment has been wonkety at best these last couple of days. Because of that, I figured we'd play a list that's just about as wonkety. Crystal Beasts. Now, as I'm sure all of you have heard by now, the deck got a couple of new toys the other day, and given our, quote, success, end quote, of revitalizing Cyberdark, I'm interested in finding out if 3 new cards is enough to revitalize an archetype that was never good in the first place. So, with that, let's jump into deck edit. So, here's the list. Now, as I'm sure you're disappointed by, there's actually a pretty low amount of nonsense going on here. As always, I'll give you a little bit of a history about the archetype, a little bit of discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you who don't know, Crystal Beast is an archetype like most GX archetypes that does something incredibly weird very poorly. When any of its 7 monsters, each representing a color of the rainbow and a gem, are destroyed by battle or a card effect, they go to your spell and trap card zone as face-up continuous spells. It's sort of frustrating because actually a very small amount of their support does anything if you've hit thresholds of continuous spells. Instead, it treats that zone as a bit of a second graveyard with a series of spells that reborn from there. After years of disuse, the archetype got 3 cards we will never see in America, followed a few years later by a fusion monster, a spell, and a trap, alongside one other card that we don't know just yet. The new series of support is very strong, a generic support searcher for any of their spells, a fusion monster that's almost playable, and a trap that... Oof, I mean, the trap is the reason to play the deck. So, activating our trap is the main game plan. We're going to try and set a Crystal Beast, or maybe attack into an opponent's monster with a lot of attack, flip this sucker over, and win the game off the back of a fusion. Now, admittedly, hoping your opponent walks into a trap that they got to see you search isn't a particularly good game plan, but if it goes off, we get to Foolish Burial one of each of the Crystal Beasts to our graveyard, special summon the fusion from the extra deck, and hopefully win off the back of his beefy 4,000 attack points. Our backup plan is to pray that rank 4 monsters are enough to win us the game, and that Summoner Monk and Baguska the Nasty Drunk can lock our opponents down so that we can assemble our ludicrous game plan. So, on to the card by card. First, we're playing 1 copy of Rainbow Dragon, basically just because. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Sapphire Pegasus, one of 2 actually playable Crystal Beasts. If they really wanted to boost the strength of the archetype, they do it by making more Crystal Beasts at this power level. Next is our other 3 Ruby Carbuncle, who specials all of your guys when she's specialed, very good with the trap, since she has about 3 attack points. After that are our 1-ofs. We have 1 copy of the Mammoth, 1 of the Tiger, 1 of the Eagle, 1 of the Tortoise, and 1 of the Cat. Now, these all have weird random effects like can attack directly for half damage that really aren't even worth mentioning. Finally, rounding out our monsters is 3 Summoner Monks to get our 3 copies of Pegasus from deck. After that is 3 Rainbow Bridge, which searches any Crystal Beast spell or trap, like our next card, 3 copies of Crystal Promise. This card specials a monster from our spell and trap card zone. Routinely, it's Ruby Carbuncle, and gets another couple copies of, say, Pegasus, and another couple copies of Crystal Beast to our spell and trap card zone. After that are 3 copies of Crystal Beacon, which specials a beast from deck, provided you have 2 in your spell and trap, which isn't particularly hard to set up. 2 copies of Crystal Blessing, which moves 2 cards from your graveyard to your spell and trap card zone, and 3 Crystal Tree, which stores charges whenever a Crystal Beast is placed in your spell and trap, then pops to add the same number there. Finally, we have 3 copies of Ancient City Rainbow Ruins, unsearchable but has scaling effects based on the number of Crystal Beasts you have in your spell and trap card zone, and 1 Crystal Abundance, which is the old win condition. I guess we'll include 1 just in case we ever need it. It is searchable after all. It nukes everything if you've got 4 continuouses, then summons as many Crystal Beasts as possible from grave. Finally, we have a Regeki, a Dark Hole, and a Torrential Tribute, which starts our trap lineup. 1 Solemn Strike, 1 Torrential, and 3 copies of Ultimate Crystal Formation is basically all we can play. This card can be activated when a Crystal Beast dies to battle, and lets you send 7 Crystal Beasts with different names from grave to fusion summon the big man himself, then recycles Crystal Beasts to your spell and trap card zones when that card leaves your side of the battlefield. In the extra, we've got 3 of the fusion, which can banish a Crystal Beast to gain attack once per turn, and can be tributed to shuffle anything at spell speed 2 on the field into the deck. The rest of the extra is a bunch of rank 4s, including Baguska and Kidori, as well as a couple of rank 3s. So with that, let's get into the games. So our first match is up against Counter Fairies, a deck that the people on my stream used to kick my teeth in repeatedly. You can see we've opened okay. We're going first, which is excellent. We should be able to use this Crystal Promise to get 2 copies of Sapphire Pegasus, or rank 4 if we want it, and a live Ancient City Rainbow Ruins. So we'll start by normal summoning this Sapphire Pegasus, getting a copy of course, Sapphire Pegasus, then Crystal Promising that Pegasus out in order to get ourselves a Carbuncle. We'll then activate Ancient City Rainbow Ruins, which is immune to destruction, and pass it back. Our opponent's going to start by activating Sanctuary of Parshath, drawing a couple of cards off Pot of Desires, hitting a card of Demise, and going into a Solemn Strike. But the joke's on him. If I never activate an effect, he'll never have an opportunity to use Solemn Strike. We'll attack for 1600, 1800, and 1800, putting him in the danger zone, but not quite because he's got a Guiding Adrienne. That means he'll be able to use whatever counter traps he wants no matter what. He draws into a Zeradius, and then Card of Demises into a Storming Mirror Force, I think, to help preserve the Zeradius. Then attacks over my Crystal Beast, Sapphire Pegasus, discards 2 and passes it back. We now have 2 in our spell and trap card zone, which is great news. We'll start by using Beacon to get out a Sapphire Peg, go into Tornado Dragon, he Solemn Strikes, we'll use Blessing to get those 2 back, or at least 1, then get a Carbuncle, use her effect to special summon, it gets Solemn Strike as well. It goes to the spell and trap card zone. We can then use Ancient City Rainbow Ruins to get Carbuncle back, use her effect to special summon as many Crystal Beasts as we want. We'll get 2 more cards to our spell and trap card zone, leaving the spell negation live on Ancient City Rainbow Ruins, go into Utopia, Utopia Prime, and Utopia the Lightning. We'll beat over this Zeradius, then attack directly with our copy of Pegasus, which gets Mirror Force, then negated by Ancient City Rainbow Ruins, allowing us to kill him with our Amber Mammoth. Our second match is up against Magical Musketeers. Let's remain advertiser friendly on this channel. You can see that we've opened, kind of mediocre, but we do have a copy of the trap, so maybe the fusion will be able to take us home. I don't really want to activate this Rainbow Bridge because using it to get the trap shows that we have the trap, and using it to get something other than the trap shows that we probably already drew into the trap. So we'll go ahead and set this copy of Emerald Tortoise and the trap and pass it back. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a nombo because he actually has a fair amount of defense. Our opponent has bricked, so they're going to set a copy of a card and pass it back to us. We're going to summon Amber Mammoth and start attacking, get in for 1700 and 600. Putting this guy in attack mode hopefully is enough of an incentive for our opponent to kill him. He's going to start by normal summoning a Shooter Doctor, then using Ties of the Brethren, and this is basically worst case scenario for us. Now he has the Kid out, and whatever this guy is, Caspar as well. He's going to Tune Table a couple of times, trigger all of their effects, double summon just to trigger an effect, then pass it back to us. We're going to have to send our own turtle into him, but first we're going to try and use this search card in order to get it negated so that we can use the trap card at all. We will flip that sucker over, send 7, and get ourselves a Rainbow Overdragon. Unfortunately, we use his effect immediately because I figure he does have the card that destroys one card I control that he can activate at instant speed, so maybe using it to tuck all of the monsters is good enough. Unfortunately, it's not. Our opponent has a Solemn Strike set, and then when I go to normal summon this Sapphire Pegasus, its effect will get negated, and my Ancient City Rainbow Ruins will get destroyed, and I'll have to pass it back. So this game is looking pretty over, absent like some sort of Crystal Abundance shenanigans and my opponent forgetting to get the negation trap. I mean, I don't really know what we could do here. While our opponent does have relatively low attack monsters, it should be enough to clean us up over the course of 2 turns, and destroying all of the Crystal Beasts on my side of the board means that even Crystal Abundance in some perfect world is not going to be an out. We draw into a Rainbow Bridge, which is one of the better draws in our deck, but of course it gets negated by Dead Man's Burst, and I concede. Our third match is up against Dark Magician, which certainly isn't meta, but certainly is more meta than what we are playing. You can see we have a copy of Amethyst Cat, which is not particularly good. It's not particularly bad either because it synergizes very well with the trap since it's so weak. We have a Crystal Abundance, which is fine, and a Crystal Tree. These two may come in handy eventually, but not for a couple of turns, and decks these days aren't going to give me those couple of turns. Our opponent's going to start by using Apprentice Illusion Magician, discarding an Eternal Soul, then using it again, discarding a Dark Magician, and going into Norito, the Moral Leader, a card that negates spells and traps. So maybe if we set 2 of the trap will be okay, but they reveal they have Eternal Soul set, and I'm thinking, please not Dark Magic Attack, please not Dark Magic Attack. They go in a circle, and of course they get Dark Magic Attack. They'll go ahead and fire it off, destroying all of our traps, and basically all of our hopes for the game. We'll go ahead and put Amethyst Cat in our spell and trap regardless. They'll pass it back. We have some tools. We'll use Rainbow Bridge to get the 3rd copy of the trap, special summon this guy back, but unfortunately they, of course, have the Dark Magician in hand. They'll special off Eternal Soul, then banish the Amethyst Cat when it comes out, and now we are up the creek without a paddle. They'll start by Illusion Magicking away a Dark Magician, then specialing another one off of Eternal Soul. They banish one of our set cards, then get in for 25, 27, and of course the remaining 2,500 points of damage. So we're back with the deck. Yuck. It's not very good. I appreciate them throwing GX players an endless supply of nostalgia bones, but is this doing anything for anyone? Like, is anyone thrilled that their favorite unplayable archetype from 2006 is just as bad in 2017 despite new cards? Like, please, Konami. If somehow you can hear me, more nostalgia retrains like ABC, and less of this. A new slew of Crystal Beast monsters could do wonders for this archetype, and it would cost you, like, 4 strategically placed cards in future sets that you were going to use to print new useless Raid Raptors anyway. This deck suffers from a lot of the old problems the deck had. It's xenophobic as all hell. It doesn't synergize with Xyz or Link summoning like a lot of the older archetypes do. It's unable to build a powerful board, and despite the new boss being printed in 2017, it's not particularly good or reliable to summon. It's just bad. So that's that. Thanks for remaining with me throughout this trying time. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Verizon Fios. Verizon, you're in New York City. What other choice do you have? If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron, links below. There's going to be a stream tomorrow from 9 EST to noon, and I'll come up with a longer schedule over the weekend. If you have a certain idea for a deck or archetype you want to see me play on this show, however, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, I'll see you Sunday.